Just when you thought you knew the inner workings of the British monarchy, a scandal erupts. Mere moments ago, King Charles made a seismic announcement that has shocked the nation. What dark secrets lurk beneath Camilla's expulsion from a prestigious charity? The once seemingly unshakable fabric of the crown is unraveling. Prepare yourself for a journey into the heart of royal intrigue and betrayal. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. The air is thick with disbelief as King Charles's voice echoes through the stately halls of Buckingham Palace. The announcement is stark. Camilla is officially removed from her role on the charity board of the esteemed Royal Association for Youth. The reason? Financial irregularities so severe that even the palace couldn't cloak it in its golden shroud. The shockwaves are tangible, turning the whispers of dissent into roars of speculation that pierce the grandeur like a dagger. This charity, with its illustrious past, was more than just a mere organization under Camilla's patronage. It was a beacon of hope that aligned seamlessly with her spirited image of benevolence. A soft-spoken queen consort with a heart for the underprivileged, her involvement lent the organization a regal glow. But now, with the veil torn, the institution's gleaming reputation is sullied beyond recognition, leaving a poignant question hanging in the air. Was it all a fade woven with silken threads of deception? Within the palace walls, the reaction is visceral. Expressions range from muted disbelief to outright panic. The corridors hum with the sounds of hushed conversations. It's a palpable tension, echoing through the age-old stone as they brace for the inevitable storm. The silence that follows the announcement is the most deafening, a silence that speaks volumes of uncharted waters and fractured trusts. And there is no denying it, the resonance isn't just felt within the family's cloistered walls, it's rippling across the land they reign over, sowing seeds of dissent. The media, ever the ravenous beast in the parallel kingdom of influence. Within minutes, the press converges upon every nugget of information they can scavenge. Perhaps it is their nature as custodians of public curiosity, or perhaps their thirst for unveiling the Titan's missteps. Nevertheless, the scrutiny is unrelenting. With cameras flashing and pens scribbling, the journalistic juggernaut speculates on the hidden depths of this financial quagmire. In public discourse, whispers transform into shouting opinions, each more incriminating than the last, each headline sharper and more relentless. Throughout history, the royal family has waded through scandalous waters before. The annals of the crown are rife with tales of triumph overshadowed by turmoil. Yet, this particular scandal gnaws at the very essence of the monarchy more fiercely than ever before. There's something chilling about history repeating itself, and yet diverging in ways no one could anticipate. This incident transcends mere gossip, promising to redefine the public perception of an institution that has weathered many a storm, yet finds itself standing on the precipice of public accountability once again. Vulnerable and ever so human. Emotions run high, threatening to overwhelm the rationality that the monarchy normally exudes. The public eye, always watchful, now turns critical, examining every move, each reaction more impatient than the last. The disillusionment isn't just with Camilla, it's with the institutions that were supposed to uphold integrity. Many begin to wonder, with enduring skepticism, just how far the shadows extend into the hallowed halls of tradition and power. The air tingles with anticipation and unease as a cornerstone of British tradition faces an existential reckoning. As the smoke begins to settle from this breaking news, we delve into the origins of Camilla's involvement with this prestigious charity and the first signs of forthcoming trouble. Behind every seemingly pure cause lies a web of hidden motives and personal agendas. Camilla's journey into the heart of the prestigious charity began with an air of genuine exuberance. A meeting hall bathed in warm laughter and illuminated banners set the stage for her maiden address as the newly announced patron. Her voice, imbued with conviction, promised support and vision for the noble cause. Yet, even amid applause and adulation, shadowy figures skulked in the background, their influence subtle yet undeniable. The charity, on the surface, was dedicated to healing the deep-rooted scars of society, spearheaded by the most influential members of the community, some with ties reaching into the chambers of the royal family. Camilla's appointment was no mere coincidence. It was a calculated move, a piece deftly placed on an intricate chessboard. While the charity's mission outwardly shone with altruism, Its corridors whispered tales of ambition and clandestine maneuvers. Influential personalities steered its course, individuals whose resumes framed illustrious connections with nobility, their smiles concealing agendas not immediately apparent. Among them, a financier with ties as deep as they were discreet, poised to benefit from hidden endorsements that greased the wheels of aristocracy. Their camaraderie with Camilla was strategic, a move orchestrated to harness her presence for validation and veneer. Subtle cues unveiled the ruse, a hesitant glance between board members during meetings, numbers favorably adjusted yet mentally redacted during financial disclosures. Camilla, driven by an earnest desire to create change, seemed unaware of the swirling undercurrents. The charity became her passion, her legacy intertwined with its purported success. Long nights turned into early mornings, plans meticulously crafted to expand its outreach, far beyond the nation's borders. Her investments were not just monetary but personal, spilling into emotional territories guarded by hope and desire for impact. Yet, all was not well. Discontent bubbled beneath the surface, faint ripples foretelling tremors yet to come. The charities board, once a unified front, began to fracture under the weight of rising suspicions. Some whispered of books that didn't balance, of funds whose trails turned cold as they wound through the maze of accounts. The respected fade threatened by rumbles of insurrection, as clandestine meetings birthed allies and dissenters in equal measure. What began as whispers among the board members gained momentum, drawing into focus the precarious foundation on which the charity rested. As the layers of intrigue begin to unravel, shocking evidence comes to light, hinting at a financial scandal that could threaten the stability of the crown itself. Could a financial discrepancy be powerful enough to shake the very foundation of the monarchy? It began innocently enough, unnoticed by the world outside. The first signs of financial irregularities within the royal charity, quietly unearthed by diligent insiders. Whispers circulated in the corridors, echoing off the marbled walls a rogue digit, a misfiled account, curious enough to provoke further scrutiny. Each thread pulled revealed another, weaving a tapestry of suspicion and doubt, setting the stage for a storm that would test the resilience of the crown. In the shadowed rooms of the palace, tension percolated. There, Camilla found herself facing the unrelenting gaze of seasoned board members. It was a confrontation charged with dramatic gravitas and urgent collision of tradition and truth. Her assurances rang hollow against the stark backdrop of numbers and names that refused to align. The pressure mounted, an invisible weight on her shoulders, the room seemingly closing in with every breath. Then, in a stroke that struck fear into the heart of the royal household, a deluge of leaked emails and documents spread like wildfire. They cast long shadows on Camilla's involvement, each damning line threatening to tear at the seams of a carefully curated royal image. Speculation ran rampant, a cascade of doubt and distrust spilling over into every crevice of public discourse. Was this a conspiracy spun from within? Could someone close be orchestrating their downfall? Inside the palace, urgent crisis talks unfolded in hushed whispers, cloaked in urgency and secrecy. Strategic movements played out behind closed doors, a chess game where every move could be decisive and missteps were unthinkable. In the midst of this, King Charles grappled with an emotional maelstrom. The guilt weighed heavily, tugging at the fabric of their family bonds, each strain more painful than the last. The emotional toll was undeniable, with King Charles bearing an invisible but colossal burden. It was a cruel irony that such turmoil found him just as he sought stability, a king faced with his own flesh and blood seemingly entwined in controversy. The whispers morphed into headlines, and the frenetic dance of public opinion commenced. Surveys painted a picture of a divided nation. Media lenses focused sharply on their every move. The crisis took on a life of its own, a tumultuous force that seemed determined to carve its mark on history. With the crown slipping, we journey next into the secretive investigation launched by King Charles himself, as he fights to preserve the monarchy's integrity. In the corridors of power, whispers give rise to formal inquisition. As the stakes grow ever higher, King Charles initiates a covert investigation to uncover the truth behind the scandal. What will emerge from the shadows? Exoneration for Camilla, or damning evidence that might shatter royal bonds forever? With resolve etched into the lines of his face, King Charles assembles a clandestine task force composed of men and women hand-picked for their discretion and unyielding loyalty. These shadowy figures move with the precision of a secret society. Their eyes are sharp, trained to dissect lies from truth, their mission cloaked in secrecy. Their directive is clear: unveil the hidden truths behind the looming scandal, one that threatens to unravel the monarchy's very fabric. With unrelenting focus, the team embarks on a strategy more complex than any chess game. Their eyes trace the serpentine paths of financial transactions, the money trail that winds through a labyrinth of influence and deception. Key witnesses are summoned into dimly lit rooms where questions swarm like hornets, piercing the air in rapid succession. Every word scrutinized, every nuance evaluated with the desperation of unraveling a tangled web before it ensnares them all. Camilla stands defiantly amidst the rising storm, her reaction a complex tapestry woven with threads of denial and indignation. Yet to the keen observer, something darker pulses beneath the surface. Is this indignation genuine, or a mask for darker secrets? Her emotions flicker like shadows on a wall, leaving those closest to her torn between doubt and faith. As nights drift into dawns filled with uncertainty, revelations slowly bleed into the light, the first of which sends tremors through the royal estate. Damning details linked to the charity's finances, the crown jewel of Camilla's public persona, surface from the depths. Accounts don't reconcile, funds intended for altruism veer into uncharted territories, raising questions that demand answers. Then unfolds a scene of intense emotional impact and intimate confrontation between king and consort, Charles's voice laden with the weight of duty, Camilla's replies heavy with wounded pride. Their palace walls, once a symbol of strength, echo with words exchanged both cutting and tender, a mirror of the kingdom's public and private strains. In eyes once filled with partnership now reside questions: what trust remains when shadows of mistrust linger? As the investigation surges toward its critical climax, the specter of its findings hangs over them, a sword of Damocles poised to fall. Allies and adversaries alike weave a complex tapestry of dramatic alliances and betrayals, redefining the very nature of family loyalty. The wheel of fortune turns, each rotation threatening to cast them into newfound chaos or unexpected salvation. The truth's unveiling holds the power to bind their fates irrevocably, or fracture them beyond repair, turning whispered scandals into a roar that could echo through the annals of history. As the investigation hurtles towards a game-changing revelation, dramatic alliances and betrayals emerge, redefining the very nature of family loyalty. In the opulent halls of power, where every whisper holds weight and every glance conceals a purpose, the investigation unfurled with the grace and intensity of a tightly coiled spring. Camilla, her presence a beacon of both magnetism and controversy, found herself at the heart of a swirling vortex. Unexpected alliances emerged as if drawn by an invisible force to rally around this controversial figure. Among these newfound companions were individuals once thought distant, their affiliation surprising yet strategic. They stepped forward with eloquent assurances and public displays of solidarity, their actions threading a delicate tapestry of newfound loyalty. Yet, in the vilest of shadows, the murmurings of dissent grew louder, a dissonant chorus challenging Camilla's very essence. Influential voices within the monarchy, once restrained by decorum and duty, began whispering their doubts in hushed tones. These voices grew bolder, fueled by past grievances and the alluring scent of power vacuum that scandal tends to leave in its wake. Who amongst them was genuine, and who was duplicitous? In the eyes of the public and behind closed regal doors, these questions went unanswered, hanging heavy as the air they seemed to taint. The friction of secret deals and whispered agreements played out like a high-stakes card game. Behind heavily adorned doors, the chancery became a fertile ground for negotiation. Promises exchanged, not in the spirit of mutual gain, but rather as a play for personal fortitude against the coming storm. Those who pledged allegiance did so with an awareness of the game's risks. Any misplaced trust could lead to downfall. These pacts, unspoken yet understood, were veiled in the secrecy only the royal scheme could afford. Amidst this turbulence, the emotional climate within the palace walls strained under the weight of public scrutiny. Families that once shared Sunday afternoons were now torn into shadows of former unity. Confrontations came heated and raw. In the fragile quiet of drawing rooms, words became weapons, and relationships found their resilience tested to breaking. For in the raw glare of public opinion, and the private wars fought in whispers, the bonds that tied were often the very bonds that pulled apart. The ever-present media, with its insatiable appetite for drama and demise, stoked the flames of discontent. Intricate webs of accusation and allegation were spun across headlines, reshaping public perception with merciless efficiency. The media's relentless lens offered no refuge, portraying allies as foes and twisting loyalty into betrayal with each sensational telling. The narrative they orchestrated was a masterful manipulation, a stage-managed display where appearances were paramount and reality lay hidden beneath layers of assumption. As the investigation barreled toward conclusion, the tension stretched to iridescence, hinting at further betrayals to come. The monarchy's foundations trembled, the vibrations felt throughout the realm. Who would remain standing in this game of throne and cover-up? Underneath the spectacle, truths whispered their presence, awaiting their moment to surface. The precarious nature of alliance and enmity seemed only fit to deepen, each development serving as a prelude to the inevitable aftermath. As we uncover the tenuous bridges upon which royal trust is built, a landmark decision by King Charles looms, threatening to redefine his reign. As King Charles grapples with the revelations and emotional turmoil surrounding Camilla's alleged misdeeds, he faces an unenviable choice: protect his queen or uphold the monarchy's honor. In the dimly lit corridors of Buckingham Palace, shrouded in echoes of past monarchs, King Charles stands alone. His heart beats heavily, drowned by the relentless whispers of duty and the haunting realization that every gaze is locked upon him, expecting a decisive move. The bonds of love intertwine mercilessly with the crown's cold demand for justice, creating a web of torment that threatens to suffocate him. His mind, a battlefield, plays out scenes of tenderness, their secret rendezvous, shared laughter, and stolen glances from years long past, now shadowed by the harsh glare of present-day controversies. Within this turmoil, trusted advisors hover like specters, their words heavy with urgency and caution. They press upon him the immense responsibility of his role, reminding him that the monarchy stands as a pillar of certainty amidst chaos. Whispered counsel laced with advice on decorum and caution forms a cacophony around him, each suggestion a brick in the fortress of expectation being built around his resolve. Yet, through the din, personal memories puncture the surface like sunlight through storm clouds, the warm smile of Camilla and promises made in the sacred vows of marriage. Night after restless night, King Charles finds himself deep in conference, his advisors flanking him, each with their counsel on course and consequence. Yet these meetings, full of opinions and potential impacts, feel incomplete, lacking the key element, his heart's desire. A decision this profound requires the strength not found merely in strategy, but from an unflinching gaze inward, a wrestling of the soul to determine where love must bow to legacy. The weight of it envelops him like the fog creeping through the palace halls as he ponders at the precipice of choice. Then comes the sound of footsteps, soft yet resonant, and he is summoned to Camilla's private chamber. Her plea, filled with emotional appeals and gentle sorrow, pierces the fortress of his defenses. Her eyes speak of innocence, her voice tinged with the vulnerability of a wife reaching for her husband amid the swirling storm. Here they stand, the face of a beloved queen and the hidden fears of a simple woman laid bare, seeking refuge in the sanctuary of shared life. He listens, cautious yet aching. Her words forge an anchor that tethers him to reality, a reminder that beneath the weight of titles and crowns, they are merely two souls entwined by fate. As dawn breaks on another day holding its breath, the king knows that the moment of truth has arrived, a revelation whispering through the tapestry of his kingship. He draws a breath, steadying the turmoil within, each inhale a silent tribute to the legacy looming over him and the love he wishes to preserve. Piece by piece, he reconstructs the shattered fragments of his heart's resolve, merging them with the kingdom's unyielding creed. And there it is, the decision formed, a quiet resolve bedding into his core. The world awaits, and King Charles stands ready to speak, every fiber of his being stitched with the knowledge that some battles mark the start of new eras, even if heartbreak must carve the path. With the stage set and anticipation at fever pitch, brace yourself for the explosive fallout from King Charles's decision. A royal decree resonates through the world, altering the monarchy indefinitely. King Charles's decision to remove Camilla is not merely a personal act but a public spectacle of authority and consequence. As the world looks on, the implications of this seismic decision ripple through every layer of British society and beyond. It was on a crisp morning that the world awoke to a revelation, a declaration from the palace that left every corner of the realm and the world in hushed disbelief. King Charles, with a tremor of resolve that seemed to echo through the centuries of royal authority, announced Camilla's removal from her prominent role within the charitable institution she had so passionately championed. The official statement was delivered with a solemnity befitting the gravity of the decision. Yet the words were as sharp as a knight's blade in that moment. The monarchy stood at a crossroads visible to all. The edifice of royal unity was suddenly fractured. Even the gilded halls of the palace could not muffle the whispers of betrayal and the murmurs of support that circulated like an emotional tempest through the regal corridors. Within the bastion of royal tradition, this announcement ignited flames of confusion, sparking both indignation and a few secret nods of approval amid the family's ranks. Beyond the palace gates, the world reeled. Media outlets exploded with the news, tongues wagging as columnists and reporters passed the tale through myriad lenses, each more speculative than the last. Public opinion formed rapidly, reminiscent of storm clouds gathering with ominous potential. Polls revealed a nation divided, some rallying behind the king's decisive hand, others lamenting the seeming personal vendetta against a figure who had found favor in many hearts. Across seas and borders, foreign eyes watched, the moves of this storied monarchy as gripping as any tense diplomatic intrigue on the global stage, adding heat to debates in countries far removed but intrinsically tied to the royal spectacle. And yet, the ripples extended beyond mere public gossip. Other royal charities began to shiver under the shadow of this precedent, their leaders wondering if they too might find their futures subject to whims or warnings yet unspoken. What began as a single act reverberated across the philanthropic landscape, suggesting changes that could reshape the face of royal-endorsed benevolence forever. The media, predictably ravenous, turned its gaze upon Camilla herself, dissecting every trip and stumble in her grace with all the appetite of a wolf pack in pursuit. Reports of her emotional state ranged from stoic composure to whispered claims of shattering despair, painting a portrait of a queen consort brought low by machinations beyond her control, and playing out before an audience both pitiless and partisan. The monarchy, now teetering under the weight of public scrutiny, scrambled to learn from the turbulence. Discussions began behind closed doors on how best to navigate the treacherous waters of future scandals. Heated debates on transparency, on trust, on the precarious act of balancing age-old traditions against the ever-accelerating demands of modern accountability. But in the wake of such profound decisions, what hidden costs lie beneath the surface? The concluding chapter reveals the real stakes involved in the royal game of power. In the aftermath of this unprecedented royal upheaval, the true cost of power reveals itself. The once unassailable image of the monarchy now bears the scars of controversy, a stark reminder that even the most storied institutions can falter. Public trust, once steadfast and enduring, quivers under scrutiny as the deeds of the past cast long shadows over the present. Can a crown so tarnished ever regain its former luster? The question looms large over Britain, posing the ultimate challenge to King Charles, who finds himself center stage in an unfolding drama that demands conscience and conviction. The whispers of palaces echo with the weight of expectation as Charles reflects, each thought a tumultuous blend of regret and resolve. In solitude, he ponders the legacy he is to leave behind, grappling with the inevitable realization that actions, no matter how small, engender ripples that touch both the hearts of millions and the annals of history. His introspection is not merely personal, it is public, an unwritten promise that the burdens of a nation and the hopes of its people will no longer go unheard. From the ashes of this turmoil, he aims to craft a leadership built not on grandeur or entitlement, but on humility, transparency, and reinvention. And yet, the path is strewn with challenges, including Camilla's journey through public perception. Her trials may seem personal, yet they symbolize something greater, an opportunity for public healing. Emerging from the shadow of scandal, Camilla stands not as a symbol of disgrace, but as one of redemption. Her quiet strength becomes her shield against the relentless gaze of a probing public. Through acts of genuine compassion and service, she strives to mend hearts and rebuild trust, demonstrating that scars can indeed become testimonies of resilience. Her resilience paves the way for a transformation unlike any the monarchy has seen, promising new beginnings, where transparency is the guiding light. This dedication to transformation is not restricted solely to the figures of the crown, it extends further into the very fabric of royal protocol. Efforts to prevent future crises are thorough and wide-ranging, promising a new era where lessons learned will shape decisions and traditions. The entire institution stands on the precipice of change, balancing history with the demands of a new age. Such changes breathe life into an establishment many considered weary and outdated, cultivating a rejuvenated ethos that speaks to both heritage and modernity. Yet as the monarchy finds its footing once more, the charities entwined with the crown face parallel struggles. The fallout has been keenly felt, shaking the very foundation of their benevolent work. However, amid the turmoil, there lies opportunity, a chance to refocus efforts, redefine missions, and embrace new leadership that aligns with the monarchy's reformative spirit. Through their own recovery journeys, these charities emerge as beacons of hope, committed to weaving a new narrative of service and sincerity, revitalizing the public's faith and engaging communities in unprecedented ways. Thus, amid the reflection and reconstruction, there are hopeful signs that indeed renewal is possible. The once monolithic monarchy begins to redirect its efforts and vision, committed to a future where its presence is not taken for granted, but cherished anew. As the monarchy steps forward, embracing change and confronting the past, they offer a poignant reminder that even ancient institutions can reinvent themselves, becoming stronger and more attuned to the world they serve. With the path forward carved out through sweat, tears, and unwavering dedication, the future glimmers with promise. The trials may have scarred, but through resilience, grace, and transformation, a new legacy begins to take shape, leaving viewers with the resonant image of a royal family forging a new path forward,